Lord who art on Terran, thy imperium everlasting, thy divine dominion among the stars, your loyal servant beckons. Grant me strength to purge the alien. Grant sanctity to slay the heretic. Grant piety to cleanse the mutant. By Lady Catherine, the heretics... Humanity's claim to the stars is threatened by dangers within and without. Aliens, traitors, mutants. The enemies are legion. I am a sororitas, a sister of battle, a holy soldier devoted to our God Emperor to protect his worlds from annihilation. May his light protect me and my sisters, because in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
Welcome, one and all, to a review of Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sister. Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sister is a VR shooter. The game lets you shoot, blast, purge, scorch, or otherwise cleave your way through hordes of enemies as you unfold the mystery of the story. The title here is a bit misleading. In fact, the game turns out not to be about fighting your sister. That prelude additive to the title, that Warhammer 40,000, is the fictional setting that the game is based in. This game, Battle Sister, is a small story within that larger overarching story of Warhammer 40,000. Warhammer 40,000 itself originally being a tabletop game to play with friends using small plastic miniatures to simulate a military battle. Something like Dungeons and Dragons, but with more miniature characters, more expensive, and somehow even more nerdy.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
In the universe of Warhammer 40,000, humanity has spread across the Milky Way galaxy, colonized millions of places, like the Brits did, and is mostly united under one singular banner, the Imperium of Man. Millennia have passed since that colonizing era, and with each year humanity has regressed further and further into stagnation and superstition. The society of League of Legends players. Every person within the Imperium must pray and devote their lives to a rotting carcass of a man on Earth whom they believe to be their one true god, working tirelessly in the ever-expanding industry of war necessary to keep their massive intergalactic empire functioning somehow. The military, consisting of many branches, such as the Battle Sisters, enforce the authoritarian regime and a strict hierarchical society. Unfortunately, they are a necessary evil to keep humankind's enemies at bay. Malevolent gods influence the galaxy and turn allies into enemies. Hostile alien races invade planets to enslave or consume the human population. Horrendous acts, right? Unless we humans do it. Are you born with an extra limb? You are a fascismal parody of the Emperor's glorious human form and are outcast or relieved of life. Democracy? Gone.
Skip it up and that up.
Invention? Forbidden. Religion? Enforced. Happiness? Illegal. War?
There is only war.
Jokes aside, Warhammer 40k is absolutely massive, both in the fictional world and the real world. Books, tournaments, video games, audiobooks, cinematics, movie series, there's so much this franchise has to offer. Its size, however, is its own difficulty. It's difficult to get into it without feeling overwhelmed by the sheer scope, intersecting events, terminology, cryptic names, and more. So for simplicity's sake, it's big, bombastic, kind of depressing, and doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, for example, look at this. It's a cathedral atop of a massive bipedal war robot. It's impractical, bulky, heavy, a larger target, but you can pray on the go. It's a mobile praying station. If you don't go to church on Sunday, church will just come to you. Fortunately, you don't need all that knowledge about the universe to just enjoy the game. You can play this game and not miss out on anything. Unlike...
You're to return to infinity immediately.
No.
So long, Bowser!
Now that that's out of the way, let us actually talk about the game.
Look how good I would be at stepping on you. You want to get spit on?
You play as the militant zealot character named Ophelia, a battle sister who is contacted by Inquisitor Malachi, a sort of KGB or FBI agent, that your sister, who was presumed dead, is actually alive and held captive by a rogue psyker. Psyker being Warhammer 40,000's name for an evil wizard, who is trying to find some powerful artifact to do some good old evil. You see this as a big problem, because Psykers are able to use space magic that they take from space hell. But if you, from the real world, take from space hell takes back. And space hell taking back usually doesn't end very well for everyone around you. In your quest to rid of this evil space wizard, the game takes you to different places. Each level is a different setting, one in the wasteland, one in an enemy ship, etc, etc. Each level progresses the story and usually introduces new enemies to fight or weapons to use. Since the game is a VR shooter game, the game revolves around, shooting a bunch of bad people. However, not just people, also bugs.
That was for stinging me when I'm asleep.
Mini Satans.
Oh, my worst enemy is Satan with abs.
Whatever the hell these things are.
What the hell is that?
And
oh my god!
I can't hear you over my military-grade tinnitus. What?
the game adheres to a classic arena shooter approach. Go in a room, shoot enemies, go to the next room. Each level offers a new setting, from larger areas to more cramped spaces. Unfortunately, the gameplay loop does get a bit tedious and repetitive eventually, and doesn't really offer too much variety in approaching scenarios. Every room or area you enter spawns in a group of enemies to fight before you're able to proceed to the next room, eventually leading usually to a boss fight. The novelty of VR and gunplay carry the experience a lot for the majority of the game. It also doesn't help that it has this weird player priority thing going on. In some missions you have help from another nun with a gun and Julius, a space marine.
God, he is huge. I want him to step on me.
Despite the presence of this 8-foot-tall massive guy with a big bulky frame, the enemy tends to just completely ignore them in favor of targeting you, even while being directly shot in the face by your buddies. Most AI enemies tend to follow these two paths of thinking. If I have a gun, I shoot at the player, while standing still or slowly approach them if I don't see them. If I have a melee weapon, I run towards the player and slash him. The same logic applies to all enemies, including Chaos Space Marines. You see, canonically, these red armored guys, they are genetically engineered to be tactical geniuses. They are inhumanly fast, stronger, better, smarter. They are super soldiers like our dear friend Julius. They are as if Captain America ate Nicocado avocado and bench pressed a water tower by daily for 5 years straight. However, in the game, they just stand there and just shoot at you. The same applies to these bulky boys, who are highly accomplished marines given this special armor. So to just see them stand there feels a bit off. They act the same as the regular enemies, but just take more ammo to defeat. I'm sure there were limitations they had to work with in developing these enemies, but I'd hoped for more since they are the quintessential poster boys of the franchise. Having them take cover or throw grenades would have already made them stand out and play a different role, for example. The game graphically looks a bit dated. This is also not really helped by the Oculus, now Meta, Quest 2's not so stellar graphical capabilities. This is often a remark to its detriment, and although the areas do look very bland and simple compared to modern standards, I grew up playing Halo 2 on the original Xbox 360, which I still think looks good. So to me it doesn't matter too much. Regardless, that's my opinion, and I still think it looks impressive and does the universe justice in scale and overall ridiculousness. What is the absolute redeeming factor of this game are the guns. The weapons feel weighty and impactful and also just look gorgeous. Every gun serves a different role. A bolter for your regular reliable assault rifle, the bolt pistol for your trusty firearm wanted in a pinch, flamer for your flambe.
Brother, get the flamer. The heavy flamer.
Melter gun for all your shotgun needs, plasma pistol which explodes if you overcharge it, grenades, of course, and the last gun, in case there's nothing else.
Oh, great. Rosa, I found a lasgun.
May the Emperor protect you, because that thing won't.
But to me, nothing is as good as the melee weapons. And chainsword, which combines a sword and a chainsaw that you can rev up.
I am the god of hellfire!
And the power sword, which you can turn off and on like it's a lightsaber from Star Wars.
Elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
Additionally, most guns you can reload manually by hand or by holding the gun over your ammo pouch for it to automatically put in a new magazine. But who wants to do that if you can, like, do it yourself? You can carry 4 weapons of choice, 2 on each side of your hips, 2 on your back, and 1 slot to carry a grenade. The game will give you plenty of choice and ammo for all weapons, so you can mix and match, see what you like and use what you want. Placing well-aimed headshots and tallying up kills along a complementary simple give system makes combat very satisfying. Shooting an enemy with a bolter that can canonically explode upon impact, causing enemy limbs to evaporate or just launch away. The game also gives you this Rosarius tool on your wrist, with which you can perform special abilities such as slowing down time, push objects, and make yourself invisible for a while. It's like the Force from Star Wars. In my playthrough, I found myself using it very rarely, though, unless the game made me do so. The rare times it did was very interactive, like slowing down time to shoot a breaker to open a door. Sharing the concept of cool but rarely used is the climbing mechanic. The game sometimes makes you climb using knobs, ladders, or other tools. It's a nice breakup from the constant gun in hand, but often feels a bit added afterwards, like the levels were not really designed to frequently incorporate this mechanic in playful manners. The game saves your progress frequently, so if you die, you don't lose too much progress. The game has a timer and different levels of careful, you're gonna die soon. I didn't find too much of the battles difficult, and the challenge more so lied trying not to get shot by every single enemy in the room at the same time. Having the right guns for the right job helps, but in a panic pinch it's difficult to manage grabbing the gun you want. I dropped so many guns in a panic. Some of the missions are not necessarily action shooty shoot missions, but some are dialogue moments where you have a conversation with your teammates in which you get to know them a bit more. It's here that you realize that everyone is so serious and stoic.
I had a brother. We were separated when we were children. I was taken to the Order and he died when the heretics annihilated Talis Serona.
We have all lost many to the horrors of the galaxy. But Ophelia must stay strong and do her duty.
Jeez, man, at least you can say that you're sorry for her.
The designers also populate the missions too with radio chatter and in combat with them. Quotes from what I imagine a priest would say performing an intense exorcism. Very Warhammer. The last thing I want to touch up on before heading into the story are the boss fights. Yes, this game has 3 boss fights. They're all fine, but limited, given most are just stand and shoot. What I believe is occurring during the development is the consideration of balance between an engaging battle as well as difficulty. Keep in mind that this is VR. Players might not be accustomed or adapted using VR to properly manage the stress of a difficult boss fight that would be able to be very mobile. This could easily lead to frustration. They likely spend a lot of time discussing and tweaking the bosses to be accessible to all types of players. In the end, causing the big 2 robotic bosses to just stand there and be predictable in order for the player to be able to land consistent shots. It's very interesting to think about this dynamic, and honestly harkens back to old school video games. with static enemies and predictable behavior, since player mobility and control was limited at the time. Over time and years, this was developed and refined further in what we have now. I can only imagine, with more time and refinement in the capabilities of VR, what we'll see years down the line.
All women are queens!
A disclaimer. If you are interested in playing this game and want to experience the story firsthand, please skip this section. Turns out the title is true. You are battling your sister. As mentioned before, you are Ophelia, a sister of battle. You are in a war zone with your fellow sisters, fighting against the word-bearers Space Marines and their lackeys. Well, if you want to understand who these word-bearers people are, then first you gotta understand Lorgar. So, Lorgar was like abused and but then like the Elven Legion came, oh wait, Lorgar wrote Okay, so you got that?
No.
Awesome. Now we can continue. Unfortunately, your mentor dies in the first mission and is buried in the floating space cathedral. After which you take up her mantle. At this time, that KGB FBI man, that Inquisitor Malachi, contacts you and tells you about your apparently not so dead sister, Leonora, being alive and captured by a rogue psyker. The cathedral is attacked and you drop pod down to the surface to escape. You fight through canyons and see a portal to hell open and meet Julius, a very religious Black Templar Space Marine who was on a mission to stop this from happening. Obviously he failed. You meet up with your other sister and go nuke the portal with your zealotous BFFs. Julius is in service of Inquisitor Malachi, who tells us that our supposed dead sister is one of his confidants and is lost after investigating a rogue psyker. Those space wizards, right? Who seek some crazy, dangerous object that everyone wants to do some good old evil with it. Evil space wizard is on a spaceship, go get him and find that crazy, dangerous object. So we do that. We fly a dropship straight into the spaceship's hangar and shoot our way through the many very friendly inhabitants. We finally meet this evil space wizard, who psychically prods our memories to find exactly where the object is due to like this family connection with your biological sister or something. Anyway, he does the villain talk, vanishes and sends a robot scorpion to get rid of us. We get rid of it instead and are brought back to the spaceship of Inquisitor Malachi, on our way to a new planet where the evil space wizard ran off to. We land with the gang and we go through the very grey areas until we have another boss fight. This time against a traitor Chaos Knight. We can't exactly kill the mech, so we do the next best thing, which is to shoot all its gun, pop them off like a Lego until it only has its, truck-sized chainsaw arm left. But no threat as an Imperial Knight enters the scene and absolutely bodies the Chaos Knight. Afterwards you team up with the Knight for a bit, enter the monastery, unfortunately saying goodbye to our mech friend, fight through it and find a hole in the floor leading down into the depths below the building. And obviously we follow.
Necrons.
What the hell?
Necrons. Turns out we're on a Necron tomb world, which is a terrifying prospect because they are some bad aliens. We ravage through this underground crypt and fight our regular cast of enemies as well as Necrons. Unfortunately, they also suffer from the same poor AI performance. We finally face off against evil space wizards, revealing it is our actual biological sister who we thought dead, but she turned to chaos when trying to find this object. After failing to persuade us, we have a boss fight that reminds me of Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. After beating her, we get our final monologue from her, wherein honestly she makes a fair point. Our biological sister is the Psyker. Being one is heavily frowned upon, and usually those with that abilities are hunted and killed. She sought freedom, and found it by joining Chaos. She is then sucked up into the realm of Chaos. We meet up on teams, the spaceship of the Inquisitor, who then nukes the entire planet, because the Necrons are still all over the planet. And that wraps up the story. Overall, I like the story. However, it's nothing you haven't seen before. It's a Marvel plot, with characters' personal stakes and reasons to root against the villains for them to reveal their reasons at the end. Still very enjoyable and gives reason to the chaos, pun intended.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
The music in this game is generally fine. It's nothing I would listen to separately, unlike another 40k game. The main theme I do like a lot. It's unique among the other ones of the game, which are more generic, filling in the silence. Most memorable music is played when not obscured by the sounds of combat. The audio for weaponry is great. The bolter has never sounded as hard as in this game. Most guns even have the difference in pitch as the magazine is emptied, which is a nice touch. Given my critique, you might think I dislike this game. The AI is arcade level, the boss fights are basic, the level design is simple, the graphics looks like it was made in 2004 for the PlayStation 2, the adherence to the established lore is poor and the story is practically a Marvel movie. However, all these factors that I mentioned don't influence my pure adoration for this game. Its imperfection is perfection. The simplicity of it is the reason it is one of my favorite VR games I ever played. Wanna know why? Because it's fun. The reviews for this game are very hard on it, justifiably so, but I can't help but feel bad for the developers. This being their second VR game after developing a mobile Warhammer 40k game and one run-of-the-mill zombie horde VR shooter that you see so many about. You can see how much they improved and combined their experience to create this game battle system. VR games have already come a long way and this game in no way pushes the boundaries. But that's not the point of the game. I don't think the developers cared for making this all accurate to the Warhammer 40k lore, nor make the story amazingly good, nor did they care about making it visually look better than real life. They cared to make it fun, and they succeeded so damn well. And that's why I love it so much, since that's what I care for too. It's why some of my personal favorite games are not pushing any new boundaries, but rather focus on gameplay, laughs, and most of all, fun. And to me, that's what should matter the most. I absolutely recommend this game to anyone, whether you're into Warhammer 40k lore or not. It is a blast to play through. Thank you developers at Pixel Toys for making a fun game. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and also send me your credit card info. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I know this type of content is new and very different, unlike my previous animation work. I'm trying something new here, and I'm hoping to continue making reviews like this on other games or media, VR, anything really that I adore. I hope you stick around for it, and if you do, then maybe I'll see you in the next video.